Well, good afternoon. Now, of course, it is 4 o'clock here at the craft store. If you are just joining us, welcome. It's great to have your company. But if you have been watching the shows for the one-day special, well, you will know that we have been extraordinarily busy because it's not a one-day special. Or no, what we launched was actually a monthly mega deal. Now, we as the paper crafters need, or mixed media artists, or even maybe we are quilters, we need a reliable die cutting machine, one that does what can put through it any A4 die. And to celebrate, to kind of give you that, we have got, of course, the monthly mega deal, the Go Power and Emboss in an exclusive pink, incredibly busy. 60% of that monthly mega deal already gone. Now, remember that pink is an exclusive color to here at the craft store. Now, I'm not here on my own. We have got the total expert on die cutting. I will say the person that I think that has always explained die cutting the best possible way. And I'm not saying it because he's here, but I'm saying it because I was a viewer before becoming a guest and then a presenter. And I always say, John, you get it. Hi,
Thank
John.
you. Hello. I don't know what to say to that, really.
Well, it's funny because I have watched you, like we were saying, before I even met you in person, I was watching you and I kind of always went like, yes, he gets it. He explained it properly. But also, what you understand how you were explaining today, for instance, and I was watching the 8 a.m. and you were on it. You explained exactly why it has been so popular. I mean, the Penguin, 60% of the monthly mega deal stock has already gone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised, but I am. Because I'm always surprised when people go for it. I'm not, because from a personal perspective, having had the machine for over 2 years, it being the main A5, this is the only electric die cutting machine I use. It's the only one I recommend. It's the one I test everything on. So, I know how good this is in myself. And as I've said through many of the shows, this is not a John Next Door product.
Yes.
This is not a Crafts2 product. This is not, in my contract to come on here and demonstrate this machine. I was asked by the craft store to demonstrate it because you knew that I had it and I used it and I loved it. And as a, die cutting, if I said something sad like, oh, die cutting is my life, I love die cutting. Yeah. I think what you can achieve with it, the effects are beautiful. And to me, what really sealed it was the fact that apart from 3 12x12 dies I've got for the Big Shot Pro, which I know that you've got, every single die that I own, from the tiniest to the biggest A4 Bigs die, will go through this and will cut. And will cut in multiple materials. So I don't have to go, right, okay, so I'm using that die and I want to cut it in that material, so I'm going to need that machine. Yeah. I want to cut that, and I want to cut that in leather. Oh, well, I'm going to need that machine. I don't. This sits by my side at all times, and it will all go through. Yeah. And if I want a smaller one, I use my Kaleido. Indeed.
Now, of course, what do we get in the machine? That's what you probably are asking yourself. Now, in here, of course, we have got the Go Power and Emboss, the machine itself. Now, you have got two choices. Basically, if you want to go for the exclusive pink, which is a perfect and beautiful baby blush pink, be quick, because once it's gone, it's gone. And of course, that is an exclusive to the craft store. And remember, this stock should last for a month. Now, less than 24 hours, already 60% of that stock has already gone. And then you have got the other option, which is to go for the gold, the classic gold in here. Now, it's exactly the same machine. It comes exactly with the same accessories, which of course we are talking about an electric machine, so it's powered, so you have got the cable for that, UK plug as well, and of course you have got the plates that you need to use wafer thin dies. Now, you are getting as well the embossing folders in both of those designs. You can see they are classic, very useful designs to have. And then finally, of course, we have the gorgeous wafer thin collection there, 30 individual dies with numbers, borders, and so much more. Now, of course, the Go Power and Emboss, as John was explaining, will die cut all these different dies that you may have already, including those steel rule dies like the bakes and so many more. The other thing I love about this machine is the way that it you have got just the buttons in it. But before we go into details of those, because of course John can explain them much better than I can, let me tell you that you have a £10 saving. And also you have got a flexi buy, 3 interest-free payments of £46.66. And of course that makes it so much easier. Of course, 880282 is your item number. On the website, thecraftstore.com, you will find lots more, including the dies that John has been using for his demos. But of course, John, we love it. I love the way that you said it takes all the dies, because dies are very important. But tell us about how do we start with the Go Power, to go through the basics, basically.
What I'm going to do is I want to take you through the basics of the machine, what you'll receive, how it will actually work, how we do the basic die cutting, and what when you get it at home. So I'm going to take it to one side. So this is your machine. Now, this is obviously my machine. This has been used heavily for the last 2 years. So, you know, I want to show you with this that I'm not using a brand new one with the best thing and that sort of thing. I want to show you that I'm using a machine that I genuinely believe in. So what you'll get is your machine will come like this. It has, in the back, a simple power point, yeah, which just plugs in. Really, really simple. UK plug, really easy to do. And all you have to do is to turn it on. And these are really easy press buttons. They're not actual buttons that you click or press. They're almost, if you look, they're infrared almost. They will start straight away, so you've got no problems at all. The other good thing with the power on this, and this is something that I'm really impressed with, is after 20 minutes of not being used, the machine will turn itself off. So if, like me, you forget last thing at night to actually turn your machine off, this will actually turn itself off after 20 minutes. So if it hasn't been used, which I think is a really good safety feature. So your basics of your machine, you've got your opening here, which is actually wider than A4. And this has been designed so that you don't have to worry about fitting your plates in. So this is an A4 piece of card. So you don't have to worry about fitting your plates into it and get them very, very neat to each side and get them perfect. But it also means you've got a very wide flat bed, so that putting the plates in and holding them in place is really, really simple. So literally all you need to know is 3 buttons, run. I'll turn it round a little bit here, you'll see a little bit better. You've got run, you've got power on and off, and you've got reverse. And that will simply reverse it, but I'll show you how they all work. And to make it work, you just press the run button. So, I want to take you through the plates you're going to get. And again, these are my plates. So these plates are over 2 years old. And this is one of the great benefits of the machine. None of these plates have been replaced in 2 years of heavy use. So you will receive an A plate, which is a base plate, which is a thick plate, which obviously if you're using thicker dies you would miss out, but I will go through that in another demonstration. You will then receive a C plate, which is a thinner 3mm plate. You will receive a 5mm B plate. So you can see there, if I put it the right way around, you'll see C plate and B plate. You will also get your metal shim, and your metal shim has been chamfered at the edges so that it doesn't cut you. You can't hurt yourself with it. And you'll also get a very thick, this is a 5mm, this is one of the thickest embossing mats I've ever come across, embossing mat, which is in a beautiful rubber. And again, if you see how much this, I haven't used this as much, but again, it works really, really well. So you get all of those plates, you get your machine, you get your lead. You'll also get with it 30 thin dies. And the great thing about these is, and this is something that I absolutely love about the machine, is if you look at the dies, these are very, very, if I turn them around the right way, look how fine they are. Some of the detail in here is extremely fine. Now, these are dies that are made exclusively for the machine, so they're not available elsewhere. These are only available in the package with the machine, so they're not thrown together. But to me, it says something about the quality of the machine when the dies that they're actually including are so fine, because let's be honest, the very first thing you're going to do when you get your machine is to take one of these dies they've supplied and cut it. So you've got to have confidence in a machine that it's going to cut something that fine first time. Otherwise, I would open the machine up, put that through, it doesn't cut, and I would put it all back in the box and send it back. So it shows the confidence. But you'll also get 2 embossing folders in there included, classic designs you'll use all the time. So the most important thing, I think, is first of all, how are we going to cut with it? How are we going to cut with the machine? So this is the way that I do this. This may not be the manual way, but it's the way I've found is to do it, is basically put your C plate down. You will then take your piece of card. I'm actually going to make this even harder for myself because I'm going to use a piece of mirror card. So this is the Craft Artist Gloss card. We'll take that little die. So the little one that I've just pulled out, because this can be the first thing you try. I'm going to tape the die down and I'm going to put it in the corner. Regardless of how old your machine is, whether it's new or anything else, you'll always find tighter tension in the corner. So it's always better to think, put it on the sides. Our natural instinct is to put a die there. That's probably the silliest place to put it. Put it to the side. We then simply add the B plate on top of that, and then you present it to your machine. And it doesn't matter if your plates are completely out, or you don't have to sort of get them like a deck of cards and get them all completely flat, because remember, you've got that wider opening. And all you do is take your plates to your machine and basically present them. Slide it in until it stops, and then simply press run. And all it will do is, with no help from me, it will grab the plates and it will simply run them through. And if I want to, press reverse while it's working, and that will reverse the action and bring the plates out this way, which is really useful because, number one, if you've got limited space or limited mobility and you don't want to be grabbing to the other side, then it will bring it back to you. But it also means that your die goes through twice, and that's always a good way. So there we go, straight off, take that out. I'm just going to flick that, which is always my test of a die and card. And you can see there, that is cut, but not only is it cut, can you see the sort of chamfered edge on there? And what you're getting is, the pressure is so good in the machine that I don't have to emboss that die. That already looks as if it's been embossed, and it looks as if it's curled because the die has done its work. So that's a simple cut using a standard die. I want to show you now, I'm going to use the same card again. This time I'm going to use a larger die. This is one of the John Next Door dies, and this is the Advent Pop Box. And this die does 3 things in one, and it's a really good tell of a machine, because within this die there are areas that will cut out, there are areas that will emboss lines to fold, and there are areas that will perforate. And so what I want is, obviously from a machine, I want it to do all 3 jobs in one pass. I don't want to have to add anything to it. So again, plates together, present it to your machine and push it, I'm doing it with one hand, till it hits a wall almost, and press run. If it doesn't, just give it a little tap to start it, and it will run through perfectly. And the great thing is it doesn't go through at such a high pressure that it throws it out of the back halfway across the room, which I've had so many times. So I can just lift it out, and you'll see on here, when I take this out, first of all, cut perfectly. But if I show you the front, you see every line. So there are your emboss lines, and there are your perforation lines. So simply, I don't even need a bone folder, that's how the pressure's worked. I can fold those up, and these perforations, watch, and they will tie. And if I actually try and tear a piece of the card, you can see it doesn't want to tear, but the perforations have worked perfectly. So the machine has in one pass cut out, It's embossed a line that's good enough to be folded on a mirror card without actually having to use an embossing tool, and it's done the perforation lines. So we know that it can do that sort of thing with the pressure. The next job you'd want to do in your machine is emboss. And one of the great things that this has got is standard embossing in a machine, in a die cutting machine, is you take your embossing folder with your card in and you place it between two clear plates and run it through. That's not how this works, because it's been designed so that it will take different depths of folders, because every manufacturer makes their folders of a different width and depth. So here I'm using a 3D folder. This is a beautiful Nellie Snellen one. And to emboss in the machine, you don't use two plates, you use your rubber embossing mat and your B plate. So this is and I've placed it in the middle. So again, present to the machine, push it to the back, press run. If it doesn't start, pass it through. But because, if you can see, the rubber mat here is stretching to reduce the pressure, the machine said it's too much, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. And watch, the lights are flashing on and off to say that it's been rejected, and it's reversed it out. So it keeps itself on, so all I would do is take the B off, put the C on, and run it back through. So the fantastic thing is that no matter if I try and put something through this machine that it doesn't like, it will not accept it and break the machine. It will simply reject it, flash at me to tell me I've been an idiot and that I've done something wrong, and then it will return my plates to me. And so now, because of the mat, on a 3D folder, I have the perfect, again on mirror card, 3D emboss. And if I want to use a thinner folder, so final one, I'm going to use a thinner folder. This is again a 3D, this is a standard embossing folder, not a 3D one. This is actually one that's a few years old, so this is a totally different width, but I do exactly the same again. Place my mat on, I'll try my B, see if it works, put it in, press run, doesn't even want to take that, so take it out, put my C on top, present it, press run, and it will take that, and to release the pressure, it will increase the pressure on here, on this rubber mat, and make this rubber mat stretch until it goes through. And when this is finished, we will have the perfect emboss on a standard sandwich. So in the machine, we've been able to emboss standard, we've been able to emboss 3D, and we've been able to die cut multiple different sizes and shapes of dies.
That's amazing. Thank you, John, for that amazing rundown of the, of course, Go Power and Emboss machine. We are incredibly busy for the machine itself. Remember that it's a monthly mega deal, and already over 60% of the pink option has already gone. Now, something else incredibly busy, of course, is John next door. The Advent top box, of course, you can see it here. And of course, this bundle comes with the numbers themselves. So you have got both in there here for just £29.98. But then if you're a Freedom member, £26.98 for both of them. Now that is a saving of £13. Now if you wanted to go for the box on its own, look at that, £29.99. Not only you are saving £3.01 for that one, but also you are getting the numbers in there. And I love that you are getting the ones and the twos. You are getting doubles of those. So that means that you are right, like you're doing the Advent calendar, you need extra ones and extra twos, so it'll take you less time to do them. Take advantage of that Freedom price. Grab it now when you have got that £13 discount, 027292. Now, If you are getting the Go Power and Emboss, you have got that Flexi-Buy option to spread the cost into 3 interest-free payments. So if you are adding the dies in there, you are not going to pay the £26.98. You can pay 1/3 of that today because you are Flexi-Buying the machine as well. Whatever you put in that box, in that basket, you can Flexi-Buy it, including maybe you want to coat the die clean dry as well as the eraser. You could spread the cost as well of that. I'm just trying to think that once you open that Flexi-Buy basket into 3 payments, which is not a common occurrence, that makes sense because then you would be paying £3.33 for them today, and then the same amount next month, and so on, for 3 months interest-free. Now we have had a question in from Karen that is, does the Go Power and Emboss, does it come with instruction booklet?
It does. Yes.
Perfect.
I think it's actually in the box.
Oh, right.
But you do get, it's like a sort of 2-page instruction booklet in there. But what we've also done is, I've done the shows on this before. So the 2 shows that I've done previously are already on YouTube. So if you go onto the John Next Door YouTube channel, you'll actually see on there, you can scan through and you'll find the Go Power and Emboss shows, and that takes you step by step through everything. And what I would say is, obviously, you do get the manual, and they will always tell you to follow the manual, and for you guarantee you need to do that. I may do things slightly bit differently that I find works for me, but I find it a lot easier to watch the shows, and we'll try and get some of these shows. Probably the show today, we'll get this last show put onto YouTube as well, because this goes through some of the basics of people. But there's plenty of help and advice out there. You got caught!
I got caught!
Shall I just open it now and have a look? Yeah, sorry. So
I was told, say,
this is something you
behind you. Go
actually
and get
mentioned. If you get the exclusive pink one, you get an exclusive box as well.
Yeah, I like the box
because this is
as
a new
well,
designed box just for the pink one. This isn't normal. The normal box is white with gold on it, I think.
Let's see.
You do get. Oh, it says limited edition on it.
Oh, limited edition, yeah.
Very posh. Yeah, as I've got the blue and gold one.
This one is for the gold, the classic gold. You will have this box in here, so you can see that it is the classic box.
So in the box you will get your 12-month limited guarantee, or your warranty, which tells you what is actually covered. And tells you what to do in case of having any problems at all, because the machine has been done through the craft store for Couture Creations, so it isn't a John Next Door or a Crafts 2, so you need to follow your warranty on here. But then you actually get, here is your instruction leaflet, which takes you through operation, troubleshooting, embossing and die cutting with the Sizzix brand's die. Perfect. So it tells you that safety warnings, disposal, etc. So it's all basically covered. And remember, of course, the videos are on YouTube as well, showing you exactly how to use it.
Now, of course, that is, so there you go, Karen, that answers your question. You have got that instruction manual. I will say one thing, I agree completely, John, that, with the best thing is to get and test it. Always is it a rule to always try the thinner the sandwich at the beginning, and then you can increase the pressure?
Work up, but the great thing is, we always say, try with a thin sandwich. If it doesn't work, add more shims, or add more of the plates, add the metal shimming or anything like that. The great thing I've found with this is if it is too big, you can't force it through. It will reject it because most standard die-cutting electronic machines have 2 sensors here.
Right.
And what happens is when you put your plate through, you click those sensors and that activates it. So I could activate some of the machines by doing that. There are no sensors in here. It works on the run. The sensors are inside where the rollers are.
Oh, yeah, the rollers are, yeah.
So if that sandwich, if the rollers find that sandwich is too far, they will do what they did earlier, flash all the lights and reverse it back out. So if you do find you're using a sandwich that's too thick, the machine will tell you.
It
will shout at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about not straining it.
Yeah. Right, John, we need to talk about the stock because the exclusive paying, we are approaching 2/3. Now, you normally know that here at the craft store at 4 p.m., well, we are the final call of the one-day special, but this is not a one-day special. This is a monthly mega deal, which means the stocks is meant to last a full month. However, the exclusive paying, this paying, you won't see it anywhere else. We've chosen it. Here at the craft store, they have chosen this blush paying for exclusive here. It's more kind of discreet, more elegant, and of course a touch of girliness as well in there. Now that is the exclusive one. Very busy for this one. Now once it's gone, it's gone. The stock also, we haven't mentioned it during this hour, the stock is in that warehouse, so you're not having to wait extended delivery or anything else. It's here in the country. It's over there, actually. It's just across the road, the warehouse where the studios are. So if you want yours, do check out your baskets. And the gold also over 40%. And remember, this is the stock that should last the full month, not even 24 hours into it. And of course, 40% has already gone off the gold. Right, Maggie, remember to check out your baskets. Details, remember that you have got the FlexiBuy to, of course, spread the cost in interest-free payments. So you only have to spend £46.66 today. Now, we want to see it more in action, of course, so we are letting basically John do a little bit of a masterclass, 3 master classes, hopefully. So take it away, John.
Okay, so the next question that I get asked most of the time on this machine, and most people want to know, is how can we use our big dies? How can we use our steel rule dies, our different brands of dies? This was one of the major attractions to me of this machine, was that apart from a couple of 12 by 12 dies I've got, every die I've bought ever fits through this. And when I say that, we actually go back to, and I'm hoping I haven't lost it, this one here, this die is 19 years old. This die is one of the original dies, very first launch. If you can see, it's actually on wood. Yes. It's not plastic, it's on wood, it's on a basic foam. And I'm very lucky to have borrowed this from Paola. And I'm very annoyed that she's got the last show with me, because it means she's going to be able to take it back. However, anything from the very first die to originals, through to your big dies, through to your larger big dies, which struggle with a lot of machines, through to your extra long, through to things like your thinlets dies, which are dies that very few people have got. I've got about 6 of these, and I haven't been able to use them in years. Your quick cuts dies, which again are a different brand and a different make of die and a different thickness. This is an Anna Griffin die from about 5 years ago. So this is actually thicker than a normal steel die, than a normal thin die. Things too, dies for your Aqua Quilt. So Aqua Quilt dies, this is handmade by Haley fabric dies, again, thicker, or your mixed media. I know Tonic and a few different companies have done a ranges of mixed media dies, which are thicker, and there may be some press cut ones coming at some point. Things like this is a fabric die to make a Christmas stocking. And the machine means that basically, and this is a full A4 size, if you see, if you can get it in there, it will cut one way or another. And the range of materials is crazy, but the very first question I always get asked is, how can I cut we'll start with the original die. So this is one of the original dies. This is 19 years old. So this was obviously invented for the very, very first machines, which were actually manufactured for schools. And few people remember that these were actually made for schools, these dies. They weren't for the public, they weren't for crafters. We'd never even heard of them. So to enable you to cut one of these dies or a big die, which I'll show you in a second, you need to use your C-plate that comes with your machine. I really should keep turning that over so you can actually see. So you use your C-plate, and you need either a second C-plate, yeah, which I've got here, and this is mine, which is now finally starting to actually get to the end of its life. So I'm going to show you this with a second C-plate, but if you don't have a C-plate, you need to have simply a 3mm plate. So this is the raspberry plate from the Tonic Tangerine or the Spellbinders machines, range of machines, Calibre and Platinum and things. And you can see there, so there is a 19-year-old original die cut in grey board through the machine. But let's say I'm going to take one of the big dies now, and I'm going to use one of my favourites. Actually, I need to swap that one in. I'm always so organised. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a die that I bought a long time ago, but I wasn't able to cut because I didn't have the machine that worked on it. So I'm going to take this one out. So you know for a fact this is brand new and never used. So this again is a steel rule die, and this time, that's not going to fit on there, is it? I was hoping I got enough card of this left, but we'll cut the first bit. But of course, I don't have another C plate. So if you have the Kaleido, you take the 3mm plate from there, or if you have a Cuttlebug or a Big Shot or any of the smaller A5 machines, you can still use the 3mm plate. And this is one of the great things about the Go Power and Emboss. Normally, through every die cutting machine, your sandwich has to be even. It has to be same top and bottom. With the Go Power, it doesn't. I can marry that in and press run and watch. That will take it and grab it, even though only half of that plate at the top is actually covered, and it will cut it just as well. So if you don't have an A4 second 3mm plate, this is actually cut off, the poor little dachshund, because I didn't have enough card. But it will actually work really, really well. And what I'll actually do is I'm going to grab now a little bit of 350 GSM card, and we'll do 2 layers of that. So I've got 350 GSM card here. I've got 2 layers. So I can go with the die in the middle, basically the C plate. I'm just going to put that on top, and this time I'm going to use the raspberry plate, just to show that you don't have to go out and buy yourself another C plate. And we run that through, and as long as the sandwich fits, this will cut. So we go through, really simple, and there I've got my dachshund and my little bow for him. Well, obviously, I've got 2 of them because I put, oh no, I put 3 layers of card through, didn't I? Yeah. So he's got a little bit stuck. I've ripped his tail off, but I'll hold him like that and you won't be able to see. So, but you can see there, yeah, I've got another one in there that's stuck. So I've got my dachshund and all the pieces. But this is the fantastic thing. If you saw there, it didn't quite cut through the second layer. So one of the things that we have in this, and I'm really, yes, this is a brilliant thing about the machine. Included in it is the metal shim. So what you would do is this will add a millimetre onto it. So you would put this, for cutting this, on the bottom, your die down, my 2 layers of card again on. Again, I'm using the different plate from the different manufacturer. Guide it in and let it run. And in this way, I can get the steel rule die to cut really, really simply. So we come out here, and this time, there you go. With the addition of the metal, I've got both cut out absolutely perfect and fallen out, and even down to having 2 of the bones. So that's the flexibility of the machine. But the great thing is, because of the way the plates work, we can bring in, as I said, other dies. So I have this, which is an old, I do love this one. So here I have a thinner die, but again, it's not a thin die. It's like the quick cuts dies. So what I would do this time is, I would bring in my base plate. I would bring in my larger die. I'm going to be really difficult on this, and I'm going to try it in double-sided glitter card. So I'm going to put that on. It's actually wider than that, okay? And normally you would marry this together with your C and your B. So what I would do first is, and as Paola said earlier, what you would do is try the slightest sandwich first. So I'm going to put that through and run it. So this is just the thinlet die, the base plate, the card I want to use, and the B plate. If that doesn't work, it's taken it extremely well, I would then alter the sandwich using the plates that I have. So we'll have a look. It's cut into it, but it's not cut it. So I can take the metal shim, add that in, get the other side of the card, again, add the B plate and put it in. And this is the great thing, because of the way the plates are designed, it means regardless of what die that you've got, you're going to be able to cut whatever you've got. So if this doesn't work, there's one more trick we can do, and that's what it really shows the flexibility. So this one, I'm thinking, no, it's still not quite there. So what would we do? Well, it's quite simple then. I'm going to have to, we'll pop this back in, okay? I would take that and my C plate. I would then add either my second C plate or my other 3mm plate and add that through. And basically, all you are actually doing is altering the sandwich based on the plates you have each time till you find the one that works with the die you've got. And that means that regardless of which manufacturer made your die, you will find a sandwich that will cut it. And this is the benefit of having things like the metal plate included in there. So this time, there we go. Oh, nearly through. So I would just shim it a little bit more. But this is, you know, I've basically tried the hardest card that we have in existence through that. And I'd rather show you what does and doesn't work. So again, I'll put a piece of normal card on because there is a little trick that you're supposed to use with that, which I will show in a second. So we just run that one through, take it, and if it doesn't want to take it, if it's too thick, if it's wrong, it will reject it. Those 3 lights there will flash and it will reverse itself back out. But again, it's always with any die cutting, making sure your sandwich is right and that the die you are using is right for the card type that you're using. So there we go. All cut through. So that's how you would alter it. First of all, for a big style steel rule die, which everybody asks about. But secondly, that's how you would alter and play with your sandwich each time until you find the right sandwich to work for the die that you've bought.
Look
and
at
that cuts perfectly.
Look at that. And I have to say, from experiences, those type of dies are the most challenging dies ever to cut. So that's the thing with
I
the
think they stopped doing them because they were so difficult to cut.
Well, I remember I was part of the company that manufactured them when they made the transition from that to the wafer thin dies. So I know all about the issues that they carried. I know. But this is the thing. Both John and I, we have got a lot of experience with die cutting machines. I remember in 2004, I was teaching die cutting machines because at the time they were not, there was not a proliferation that there are now. Certainly there were no electrics. And certainly there were no A4. And from years that we have known each other, John and I, it's the kind of, I trust his opinion when it comes to die cutting, about crafting as well, but generally speaking, but especially with die cutting. He chose, as a customer, to go for the Couture Creations Go Power and Emboss. He chose it for a reason. I said it yesterday at launch show that, of course, the Go Power, it's one of the machines that he discovered that they could be relied on. He could rely on it because he would take all the sorts of dies, the thicker dies, the wafer thin dies, the embossing detail, but also A4, but also without having to hand crank. Now, some of us still love manual machines, but also we know their limitations. You need the power, you need your strength, you sometimes don't have it. Also saves you time. And also, John is one of these people that die cuts constantly. So he has put his own personal Go Power and Emboss for 2 years to the test. He has done it. He still is the one that chooses to bring for his demonstrations. And I will tell you a little bit of it. We all demonstrators bring their own die cutting machine, or not all of them, but most of us, because we rely on them. We don't want to. It's like you are on TV. You want the machine to do the work. That is how John has chosen his and has stuck with him. This is why he is comfortable to not even test any die, come in and say, yeah, we'll find a way. I love the fact that the plates are interchangeable, that you may be using plates that you may have for other machines as long as they are this right thickness. Remember, this is a powerful machine that delivers every single time. Of course, the sandwich may be thicker or thinner, but that's a part of the joy to understanding to get the best results. What I love about it is that straight away you are getting 2 embossing folders and 30 dies. So if you're thinking, like I'm thinking, this would be an amazing Christmas present for my mom, which by the way, my mom is in Spain, so we can post things abroad as well. You can send it, and straight away she will have all the plates, the power, and of course she will have the amazing dies and embossing folders there ready to go for. Now, the blush pink, or I call it a blush pink because that's how I see this beautiful pink. I'm gonna, lifting up. It's a little bit of a heavy machine, so of course I'm kind of trying to tilt it and not knocking everything out. But you can see in here the beautiful pink in there that you have. Now that, of course, is an exclusive to the craft store, and is this exclusive you won't be able to find anywhere else. Now, if you want yours, of course, do check out your baskets. Once it's gone, it's gone. So 2/3 of the stock of the monthly mega deal has already gone. So if you want yours, make sure that you check out your baskets. Now, John, incredibly popular, incredibly versatile, and also, you know, we can rely on this machine.
We can rely on it. I think that's one of the major differences. This is my machine I've had for 2 years, over 2 years. This is my machine that I bought, and I bought it for more than it costs on this show. I also love it that much that I bought 4 of them. I have one that I keep and travel with, one that I have at home permanently, and 3 that I keep for workshops. So I've actually got 5, haven't I? That's strange. But because I want people, when they're doing workshops with me, I want them to use the equipment that I use, the equipment that I trust, and I think that's important. And one of the things I want to go through, and this is the reason I use it for workshops, is because when you are actually doing this as a job, so when you are die cutting or you are demonstrating as a job, and when you're doing workshops, you're doing different cards and different projects and different techniques every month. And you need to make sure that your equipment is working for everything you could possibly be asked for. So this is one of the things I absolutely love. So these are pieces that I've cut during the shows. So here we've got, so this is a piece cut almost in the centre of a satin card. Cut absolutely perfect. Look at the detail on those. So it will cut things like that. This is one of the dies you get in the set. This is cut in a coated 300 GSM of craft card. Here it is cut in a watercolour mixed media card, so the same die. I've got this cut with a big die. This is in mount board, so you can see here, very thick in mount board. This again is in craft card. We've got these numbers cut in grey board. I've got the tag cut again in the mount board. I've got a very thick mylar, and that has cut.
I was watching this morning, and it's of course mylar is of course for those open dies, right?
Yes, it is. As long as it's an open shape, this would work with mylar. So I've got this one cut in mylar. I've got here. This is a thick canvas fabric, very honestly, won't even fray, it's that thick canvas fabric. I cut this with the dies. This is a thin cotton lining fabric, like a really cheap one, so this was cut in there. But we even go down to, this is in vellum or parchment, which is detailed, and this one here is cut in acetate. So this one, can hardly see it. If I put it against the green, can you see? That's cut in acetate. So I needed a machine that was going to cut for whatever I threw at it and whatever material, and so that I could be confident in actual cutting these absolutely perfectly. And one of the things that allows all of these different materials to be cut so well is the plate combination, but it's also this metal shim. The metal shim makes all the difference because, again, it's not sharp. You're not going to hurt yourself. This one, as you can see, has been used and used and used, so it's no problem. And what that means is with certain mixed materials, it means that I can cut them into this. So, for example, if I want to cut vellum, I'm going to use vellum with some fine details, so I would put the metal shim down, so I'm going A base plate, metal shim, C plate, because I'm using a fine paper. I would then put my 2 dies down, and again, remembering you'll always get the best effects on the sides. So we put those down. I put the B plate on top and I cut it through. And again, it's just a case of taking it to your machine, presenting it. I'm literally as far as I can go and press run, and it will grab it itself and run it through. So that's when I'm using a vellum, and a vellum is like a normal paper. So vellum is a standard normal paper, so it has fibres, so if the pressure is right in the machine, it will cut. So see here, I'll just pop this out, there we go. So this is simple cut with the vellum, and you see there that beautiful snowflake. Okay, cut into the plate. This time I want to cut the same 2 dies into acetate, which is one of the hardest things to make. And I'm using the Kaleido acetate in case anyone's unsure what acetate I'm using. So this is a high duty, not ridiculously thick, but it's a heat resistant one. And this time, when it doesn't have any fibres in the medium you're cutting, so it isn't paper-based, you cut onto the metal shim. So I'm going to put exactly the same 2 dies in exactly the same place, this time on the acetate. So I've got this time a base plate, C plate, then the metal shim, then my B plate on top, and again, I'm just going to take it, present it, and press run, and you'll hear it like it's walking on sugar, like you're standing on sugar crystals. And that is the die biting into the acetate onto the metal sheet. And I used to have to do this by wasting. The only way I could get this acetate to cut like this was by doing it onto another piece of card. Well, now I don't have to waste the card. But if you see there is the finest acetate snowflake I think I have ever seen. Yeah, so that's cut. And this is a job that I know for a fact is an absolute real struggle with most machines. So if we want to cut something like fabric, so I'm going to grab some fabric from my magic box. And again, I'm using a thick canvas because I didn't believe in making it easy by using thin fabric. So I've got 2 layers of this thick canvas fabric. And again, it has no fibres, so I need to cut into the metal shim. So I'm using exactly the same sandwich to cut fabric as I used for acetate. So A plate, C plate, then my metal shim. I'm going to take a couple of, these are handmade by Haley's fabric dies, because you need a fabric die to cut fabric. Tape them on as normal, and again, B plate on top, and it's the same routine again. Present it to the machine. It's got a good base. See, I can actually hold that with one finger because it's held. Present it, press run. If it doesn't take, give it a little tap and it will take it through. And this time, so the exact same sandwich, I've changed the dies to fabric dies, but we'll cut now fabric just as easily and just as well as it cut the vellum and cut the acetate. And this is what impresses me. So it doesn't matter what workshop I was doing. You see there, perfectly cut both layers of that fabric, and it's thick fabric I've used. Yeah. So exactly the same sandwich, because it seems to have some sort of flexibility in there. And the sort of the last one that I know people would want to know on sort of cutting different materials is we've done cutting mount board, we've done cutting grey board, done things like that, but what about cutting with things like your Aqua Quilt or your Aqua Quilt, is it? Never get the name right. So what do we do about cutting some of the dies that are designed to cut layers of fabric? So again, this is an A4 one. I'm going to again use the same fabric. I'm just going to trim this down to size. So again, I'm using 2 layers of the canvas on this Christmas stocking die. So all I do is take out of the sandwich the base plate. So I've got C plate, my large quilting die, and I simply take another C plate or another 3mm plate in. Yeah. If you are concerned, you can put your metal plate in. And all you do is exactly the same again. You take that, you present that sandwich, and you press run. And it will take that, and if it's not happy, it would reject it out. But what we'll find this time is just by taking out the base plate and the B, replacing with 2 Cs, we're able to use some of the quilting dies, which, and to be honest, some of these are a ridiculous price. I was very lucky. I won this one in a tombola, because I wouldn't actually have bought it because they were like £80, I think. But you can see there, now I have both sides of my stocking cut in this canvas. I have both sides of the top and the heel bit. So that means we've been able to cut fabric with a quilt die, fabric with fabric dies, acetate and vellum, all through in the same machine.
Thank you so much, John, for those roundouts. There's many masterclass in here. We have had lovely emails as well, incredible testimonials, because of course the Go Power Emboss, well, you have had it, John, for 2 years and you love it. So they have many customers as well. Now, for instance, Dottie, she's saying, having owned a plethora of die cutting machines, I think I have experience to say that this has been the best purchase. The DAF ones have been given away. The only one worthy of footprint is the Go Power Emboss. It's actually a poem, and I'm just misreading it, so I'm sorry about this because it's kind of amazing. I have wasted a lot of my money buying machines that promise the earth, and then find them I'm having to fiff and faff around, wasting paper and card. It's absurd. I just want a machine that does it what it says and doesn't break down midway through. In my opinion, the Go Power is the best, so try it because you are gonna love it too. That's from Dottie. That's really good.
I've got to agree with Dottie there.
Yeah.
All I want as a die cutter is to be able to rely on the tools that I've bought to do the job I bought them for, without fiffing and faffing and breaking down halfway through. You're completely right. That's why this is the machine I use.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you, Dottie. We have got another from Amanda as well. Hi, Amanda in Norfolk. Lovely part of the world here. I bought a Go Power in February from the craft store and just wanted to say thank you for the demos with the great thin dies. I have got some of these dies for years and never managed to get them to work. Now I can use them in the Go Power alongside my collection of big dies and mixed media dies. Thank you, John, for your realistic demos, trying different ways, just like us at home. Love and crafty hugs to Paula and yourself and the whole team. Thank you, Amanda Brown. Love getting crafty hugs, isn't it?
Yeah, I love crafty hugs.
Yes, and then we have also another message from Debbie. I mean, this is a testimonial how much crafters like yourself at home are loving the Go Power. Hi, loving the show. I bought a Go Power about 18 months ago, and it clearly stated in manual that it wouldn't take the big size. So I gave it away to a family member and bought a machine that would. But John is using the big size in the show. Can you please confirm definitely that it takes a big size without doing any damage to the machine, or have I updated the machine for taking them now and I have an older model that didn't take them?
Right. My machine is about 2.5 years old, but originally when they launched this machine, because it was made for the Australian market, they weren't particularly aware of the big styes.
Right.
They made it, thankfully, on the standard, because it's exactly the same size plate combination that we do for the Kaleido, which is why your Kaleido plates will fit just as well. And so what they found is, in their original instructions, so I think with mine it came with the original instructions, it didn't tell you how. They weren't sure how. It's with people like myself and other people in the industry who've said, surely it will, and then we worked out how. And that's one of the reasons why you don't get, because I think if it had been planned from the beginning, you would have got 2 C plates inside the package, and they can't change it now. But I will promise you, and it is now included in the instructions.
Okay.
So it is in the instruction manual, so it is authorised to do that, that yeah, you can take, so I will take a big sty. I'm going to use a couple of layers of coordinations. I bought every different kind of paper I'd got, all the difficult ones. So where have we got? Let's get something a little bit different. No, okay, we'll have the clock. So basically, all you have to do is, and this is now authorised by Couture Creations, it's not me going off, is the C plate that comes with the machine, you will need another either C plate, a Kaleido 3mm plate, a different company's 3mm plate to make your big styes work. And all you do is present it and press run. And it will take it, but I promise you, in the instructions, is it Dorothy? Sorry?
Sorry, that was Debbie.
Debbie, in the instructions now is included how to cut the big styes, so it is authorised and you will not mess your warranty up by using a big sty through there. It is right. But at the time when you first bought it, I don't think they were that much aware of it. But that's the big sty, cutting on the coordinations. I should sand it down. But you see, it works perfectly. And if you find your second one doesn't cut as well, use your metal shim. But yes, you are allowed to do it.
Thank you so much, John, for that demonstration. I hope that has kind of answered your questions, Debbie. Your older model should take them as well, as long as you follow John's instructions about the 2 C plates or the raspberry plate. Now, this has been the last live hour for the launch of the monthly mega deal. Yes, I know it's 4 p.m. and of course 4 p.m. usually is the last live hour of the one-day special. However, this is about the monthly mega deal, the fabulous Go Power and Emboss from Couture Creations with that exclusive blush pink as well as the classic gold. So you can choose whichever of the 2 options you want to go for. You will have that £10 saving, and also you can spread the cost in interest-free payments. But over 2/3 of that stock, the massive stock for a monthly mega deal that is here in the country, is here in the warehouse across the road, it's already gone. 2/3 of the stock of the blush pink. Now the gold is also very popular. It's up to you which one you go for. It's your choice, is your as well as however you are going to split in the cost or not. John, it has been a pleasure as always.
Thank you. It's been muy bien, gracias.
Bueno, I was going to switch in Spanish. ¿Cuándo vuelves? Which is, when are you next?
Friday. And I can't remember Friday in Spanish. It's terrible.
Viernes.
9,
el viernes.
Viernes. Sí, 9 a.m. viernes.
El viernes a las 9. Friday at 9. John will be back. Stay tuned.